How to do, folks? No, I'm not hunting. I wish I was. It is a wee bit chilly, and you know it's cold because I got a stocking cap on, and I hate stocking caps. I've got a headband that I couldn't find that I would rather wear that covers my ears. So, let you guys know, it's like, I don't know, probably 10 degrees out here this morning. It's cold. I am in what I would call the southern part of Missouri. We're south of the Missouri River. We're north of Springfield, if that helps you out. They're calling for some bitter cold temperatures. We're talking high like 5 Sunday and Monday. Monday they're calling that they're kind of mixing around. One weather report said we could get, like 6+ inches of snow. And Arkansas is going to get more. Another one I seen said we would get more, like snow measured in feet instead of inches. And so, or at least 1 foot, and then some. So, not necessarily just because of the weather, but it was just what I needed to do this week. Is I needed to split some more of this firewood. As you guys will remember, another video that I made, we had a bunch give to us, a bunch of rounds give to us. And so I told my wife that, man, today will be a great day to get out and split some firewood. And so that's what we're going to do. I don't know how many of you have ever split firewood with a splitting maul, but it's not exactly rocket science. There is a little bit to it, right? If you can look at the log, and we'll take a peek at them here in a minute, but if you can take a look at the round that you have, and there'll be a crack a lot of times in it, and you can just swing that splitting maul down on that crack. And it may take you 3 or 4 swings, but it'll split open. This is hardwood, oaks and hickories and those kinds of things. So mostly what I want to talk about this morning, the fact that it is so cold. The snow, it's usually not that cold here, but our snow is so cold, like even on the ground, like you can see individual snowflakes, which is crazy for us around here. It's not usually that way. Usually it's just like all one solid wet snow, and it kind of melts down and anything. But anyhow, real pretty snow. Wood splits really easy whenever it's cold. So if you can tough out the cold, which once you start splitting wood, you ain't gonna be cold very long, right? It'd be 10 degrees. I'm out here. I've got a t-shirt on underneath a flannel type shirt, a pair of jeans, a pair of rubber boots. I got 2 pair of socks on, a stocking cap, and some gloves, right, that I've already kind of messed up. But anyhow, and I'll be sweating by the time this is done. My beard will have ice in it and all that good stuff. But I want to show you guys a little bit about splitting wood. It's going to be probably a pretty short video, but show you guys a little bit about it, and then we have got to get this wood done. That way I can move on to different things. Also, trusty coffee, right? One of these days we'll show you guys how we make coffee. So I forget growing up here, like I have, not everybody knows how to split firewood. Not everyone knows what you're talking about when you talk about burning wood for heat. Especially the old timers, you're explaining something they've done longer than you've been alive. But putting this out on the YouTubes or the Rumbles, people could watch this that don't ever, it's never split wood, never thought about splitting wood, don't know nothing about it. But I know in the current world that we are living in, a lot of people are talking about living a lifestyle that would involve burning firewood. I know a lot of people are thinking about moving out into the sticks. A lot of people are thinking about trying to be self-sufficient. They call it homesteading a lot of times, which I guess it is, but I don't know. I still think back to whenever the Pilgrims made their way across, and they were given like 160 acres as long as they could improve it. So we'll try to show you guys. Well, just had to pick a bad one, didn't I? Flip this over here. There we go. So this one's actually not a good example at all, but I guess we'll show you guys anyway. If you can see here, there's a crack running this way. All right, so if I'll hit right along through here, this should split. This is actually had a big limb or something, right? Or the tree split here, something. So it's got 2 of them. So this one's going to be a booger to split. it'll be a booger to split with a splitting maul. But we'll see. Kind of try to get you guys halfway situated here, and we'll see what happens. You can hear that kind of hollow sound. That means you're making progress. Now, there is no way, if it was warm, that would split that easy. Mostly because there's that knot because of that big old limb that is in there. But as you can tell, frozen ground is hard, wood's hard, so it splits really easily. Now, what else could we talk about as far as splitting wood goes? I'll talk about the swing, and then we will talk about wood size. How about that? So, works out pretty easy when it's this cold. I guess everything's frozen there. It busts easy. It's nice. What you will find out is I will, most of my firewood, big old knot on there. Now if it was warm, I wouldn't even try this. But since it's cold, we'll give it a swing or two and see what happens. I'm not too worried about it because that'll fit in the stove. So, split down the firewood smaller than you think you need to, for sure. My wife especially likes smaller pieces. You can get hotter fires going with smaller pieces, but some of them big pieces like that with a knot's good to have. They burn longer if you're going to be gone for a few hours or overnight or whatever. It just works out good. I know a lot of people don't. I'll show you a piece. But I also like having a good mixture of round wood, something like that, because they burn a little slower. Once you got your fire going, it's pretty nice. So, if you can't tell, once I split that round in half, right, once I split it in half this way, then I just started working one way, kind of in triangles around the round. And if the triangles are too big, then you split the triangle in half that way. I'll show you guys. Maybe if I, usually the first one. So that's really not too big, but it won't hurt nothing. I don't know if you guys can see that. I hope you can. Yeah. So here's the triangle, right? Here's my splitting maul. It's about as long as my splitting maul is. That's actually a good size, but just for showcase, right now I'll try to split that kind of in half-ish. Something kind of like that. And now you end up with two pieces, one smaller, one a little bit bigger. Just works out good for what we need. Whoops. Sometimes you misfire. Now, I will tell you once again, traditionally, this log here would have been extremely hard to split because with a split maul, because it did have that other section where a limb would grow out or the tree V'd or something, and that usually makes them really hard to split. But since it's so good and cold, it's not too bad at all. I actually got some pieces over to the side. I tried to split when it was warmer, and I couldn't split them with my splitting maul. So I saved them back. I'll try today. Old firewood here. Story is it heats you 3 times, right? Heats you when you cut it, heats you when you split it. I'd even say 4 at least. Heats you when you stack it, heats you when you burn it. Don't know anything more efficient than that. Plus, when it's not 10 degrees, my daughter likes to come out and help stack it. My wife does too. Alright, now that we got that little piece worked through, we'll try to show you guys. I'm sure there's a million different ways to do this, but I will try to show you guys my swing, how I swing to bust up some firewood. Most people that I know, this is going to be way below their knowledge level, and I know that. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but not everybody has grown up doing firewood. Some of you guys, like I said, are maybe just now thinking about trying to do stuff like this. Now I tell you, like I said, I'm a pretty big dude. I've always been big, always been strong for the most part. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's our genetics or what have you. It's not me bragging, it's just we've always been kind of strong. The men on our side of the family just always kind of have been. I played football, I lifted a lot of weights, did a lot of that stuff. That was years ago. Now my gut is way bigger than my chest, right? So, especially as a young man, teenage boy especially, it's just all power, right? Just swing as hard as you can swing and let it rip. But that'll wear you out quick. And I have learned as I got older, there's much better ways to do this, right? And they all told me that when I was younger, but I didn't listen. Who cares what them old men got to say? What do they know, right? They've only been doing it 100 years. So, my glove's about to blow out. What do, right? I start off with my hand way up here by the head and my other hand way back here. And whenever I bring the maul back, like so, I slide that hand down, right? So it kind of does one of them numbers, if you can kind of tell, right? And as I, see if I can show this maybe, as I get down here in my swing and I'm starting to swing, instead of really just trying to force that down, right, you put a little force behind it, but right when you start to hit the log, really flick your wrist forward. And if you will do that, what that causes, there we go, what that causes is for this end to whip around, right? Instead of just a powerful pop like that, it whips it really hard, right? Spins it really, really fast, and it multiplies your power by a whole bunch, right? Some of you engineering people could probably figure that out, right? Somewhere around, I don't know, 2.5, 3 foot long stick at the end of an 8-pound weight. And if you speed up the base, right, it speeds up the top even more. And the top of that really whips down. And I mean, it goes from just a power shot to a whipping action. And that increases your blow power to a bunch. Whenever you hit the wood and it hits it and pow, you know, it really, really makes it a lot simpler. And it makes you not as tired and sore the next day, especially. Now, that's not to say that this won't build some muscle, build character, is what the old timers always told us, both in football and family and all that when you're splitting wood. Building character, right? But if you will really force that down, like so, boy, this one's even worse than the last one. If you really force it down, it makes, see that sound? It makes life a lot simpler. And then I guess I should have showed you guys, don't just blast it in the middle of the round the entire time, right? Don't just hit in the middle and hit in the middle and hit in the middle. The way I like to do it is I'll hit kind of on the far edge, on the edge closest to me, and then in the middle. And just keep working that same pattern until it splits. It's best if you can be somewhat accurate. If you're anything like me, I never really have been super accurate. And I've done a lot of this better now than I used to be. But I end up with some kindling pieces, which is good to get your fire started, and it's good for cooking. So all I'm doing most of the time, my rounds, if they're not split, I'll unload them next to the wood stack, and I'll split a handful of them and stack them, split a handful of them and stack them. Whenever the guy delivered these, they give them to us, it was wet and nasty, and there's no way he could have drove over to where the wood stack was. And so we just had him back up here, drop the rounds off. I'll split them, and I'm just piling them up. And I'll get out the tractor, the little putt-putt tractor, and a little old trailer. I'll load these pieces up on that trailer, hopefully this week, now that the ground's good and froze. And we'll stack them. Make for a nice, pretty wood stack. So guys, what are some other do's and don'ts? Obviously, watch above your head. Make sure, here we're free and clear, but if you're doing this out in the woods, as you're cutting wood, you may have limbs up over your head when you swing then, right, that you might hit, so watch that. Also watch for it, once in a while you'll have a piece that this splitting maul head will hit and try to bounce, especially elm wood. But I even had that one piece a while ago that had the two limbs in it. It was trying to bounce back. You can knock yourself in the head, so be careful with that. You can also what I call short swing. It's actually a long swing. I don't know why I call it short swing. That's what I've always called it, which is kind of stupid, but it is what it is. And I'll show you guys what that means real quick. So imagine that this is the piece I'm trying to hit right here, right? I'm going to hit it this way, okay? But say that I actually long swing and I hit it like that, right? That can break the head off, it can break my handle, and it can really hurt your hands. And I know a lot of people, I've seen them, they call them mega mauls, right? They're all metal, heavy. I tried using one of them one time, and I did that long swing. That thing rattled my arms, hurt my hands, felt like it broke every finger I had. So, this is a fiberglass handle. I've used them a lot. They're harder to replace when you do break one, but they're not as easy to break for me, for some reason. Them hickory handles I like as well, but I don't know, I tend to break them more than I should, I guess. I don't know what I do wrong, but I don't seem to be easy on them. And oh, watch your feet, right? Sometimes whenever you swing, you can miss the wood a little bit, or it goes easier than you think, and you can come back and hit your leg with the maul. I even had a piece of wood a couple weeks ago when I was doing this. A piece of wood come back and hit my shin. Right, it just put a knot on my shin and bled a little bit. Scab finally fell off the other day, but there's still a knot there. And so, like, you can get hurt doing this. I'm not saying this is the safest thing in the whole wide world, but it's efficient. Put it in perspective, I don't know how cold it got last night. It was cold, bad cold. Probably approaching single digits or close to it. For sure in the teens, right down to 10. Anyhow, whatever it was, at 10 o'clock last night, whenever I went to bed, in the hallway, down from our wood stove, in the hallway, it was 76 degrees in our house. It was warm and toasty, which in my humble opinion, is a little too warm. But that's part of it sometimes with your wood stove. Now, the funny part is, when it's 10 degrees or it's 30 degrees for a high, it seems like you don't really burn that much more wood. You got to have a fire going all day long anyhow. And so, when you do burn a little bit more, but not much. And it's not like your electric bill is going to be $300 because you turned the heat up or because it got so cold. And I also am under the opinion, now this is Justin's opinion, we all got them, but if more folks had a wood stove in their house, and if they got in trouble financially and needed some help, a bunch of us could get together, cut them some firewood, last them all winter. In about a day's time, if some of us got together to do it, it'd be a lot more efficient than paying a month's worth of electric bill for them to be right in the same boat the next month. What I'm saying is, we've gotten away from what is harder work. We've gotten away from what is harder work physically. But mentally, we have put a lot more stress. And I want to tell you guys this, and then I'm going to shut up and let y'all get back to your day. Any of y'all that go to my church that I pastor, not my church, church that I pastor, you guys would laugh hysterically at that. But what I have found, we hang our clothes on the line in the summertime. My wife uses the dryer this time of year. But when we build our, hopefully, Lord willing, we get to build a home, we're going to set that up different even. But hanging our clothes on the line, splitting firewood, growing as much food as we can, hunting as much food as we can, trying to buy as little as we can at the grocery store. First of all, that stuff's expensive. And second of all, I have found for me, it is a lot less stressful to split firewood than it is to try to figure out how I'm going to pay the electric bill. It's a lot less stressful to hang clothes out on the line than how it is we're going to pay the electric bill. It's a lot less stressful setting up in a tree stand or making your way through the woods trying to hunt and fish on the lake or in a river or in a pond, or out hunting rabbits or hunting squirrels or feeding rabbits and chickens. Even on days like today when it's zero, it's not zero, it's cold, when it's like 10 degrees, right? This week, high of 5, later, early next week into this week, more snow. Like, it's not going to be fun, but it's a lot less stressful than standing there at the grocery store trying to figure out how many packets of ramen noodles to buy to get through the week, right? This way of life is a lot harder physically. But for me, personally, it's a lot less stressful. And some of you are watching this going, well, that's because you're young and you're still able to do the work. And I won't disagree with you. I understand that, and I understand that I'm going to get old, and one of these days I ain't going to be able to split firewood like this. And I'm going to have to either pay somebody to do it, I'm going to have a log splitter, and then probably have to pay somebody to do it after that. Or I could have a stroke tomorrow and not ever be able to do this again. Twisted part is, I really enjoy this. I enjoy getting out here and splitting wood. I enjoy the work. I really believe, for most people, maybe not everybody, but for most people, if you would actually go backwards a little bit in the way that you live, make them biscuits from scratch instead of open up in a can of Pillsbury, right? I think you'd be a lot happier. I know we sure have been. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a little bit about splitting wood. Hope I didn't offend you. We love you guys. Thanks for watching. Hey, if you don't know the Lord, I want you to know He loves you. He cares about you. I know this is the homestead page, but more importantly to me is that you are saved and born again, that you know Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, that you may make it to heaven one of these days. If I ever have to preach your funeral, or ever have to go to your funeral. I pray that I read in your obituary where it is that you've given your life to Christ. Guys, thank you for watching. We'll catch up to you next time.